Hey, welcome to another episode of 9 to 5, the Daily Mix, where today we're going to be discussing getting written up at work. That's right, the dreaded write up. And throughout my career, I've seen a lot of employees not take write ups well at work for obvious reasons. So, we're going to discuss what to do during a write up and, more important, what next steps to take. But first, let's understand what a write-up is. Now, it comes in different names. Could be a corrective action, could be a corrective notice, could be a disciplinary corrective action. It comes with many names, but the point is that this is a written documentation that is going to go in your personnel file for the rest of the time that you are employed at that firm or company. And the company is essentially telling you that you broke one of their violations, one of their policies. Now, if you actually did, and you know that you did, great. These are the easiest write-ups to deal with because you know that you did. Therefore, accept the feedback, do not get defensive, sign it, and don't do it again. Simple enough, right? The murky gray area comes when you don't agree with the write-up for whatever reason. Now, those are the ones where you got to tread carefully, especially when it's being delivered, because at this point, they've already made up their mind, right? The write-up's coming at you whether you agree with it or not. So there's no point in you debating whether or not you believe it's accurate. Because that's how it works when you're an employee, right? The employer has the majority of the power. So you have to be smart and strategic if you're going to push back. But that write-up is going to go into your file nonetheless. So you have some options of what to do next when you receive a write-up. We've talked about one option already, which is correct the behavior. Which if you did do the violation, then correct the behavior. But the tricky part comes is, what if you really didn't do anything? Or what if it was somebody else's fault? Or what if just plain and simply the write-up is just wrong? Well, that sends a very clear and distinct message to you. That means that management, which is our representatives of the company, potentially no longer want you there. Here's a reality with a lot of folks that are not in HR may not realize. Once you get to a certain level in a company, the write-ups disappear. There's no such things. You're not going to see a vice president or a chief or anybody with an executive title be written up. That just doesn't happen. They get maybe an email, maybe a conversation one-on-one with their boss if they need to correct something. But there are no write-ups. Write-ups are done for the lower level positions. And when one gets initiated to you, you best believe that you are on line to potentially be terminated. Because if they really like you, and if they really want to keep you, they will never issue a write-up. They may issue conversations, verbal warnings, maybe even an email explaining what they want from you. But a write-up does mean you are on the path to termination. And that could be something scary for a lot of folks. And rightfully so. So if you are going to fight a write-up because you believe that is not true, or it's inaccurate, or maybe there's mistakes on the write-up because it wasn't written properly. Well, your course is to take the write-up to the EEOC. But there's a double-edged sword when you take a write-up to the EEOC. The first positive is that the EEOC will investigate that write-up and will grant you a protection from being terminated while they investigate. The bad side of that sword is that you've put a target on your back. You've now taken your employer, your current employer, to the employee commissioning board. They're not going to be happy about that. And a lot of times they will try to find a reason to let you go. And let me tell you, when your employer wants to let you go, they will find a reason, and it's hard to push back at that point. So know that if you want to fight your write-up, you can only fight it by taking it to the EOC. Otherwise, it makes no difference you writing a rebuttal or getting defensive. It's going in your file. Just accept it. And maybe it's time for you to start looking for another job, because you are now on the path to termination. Now, is it possible to get a write-up and then never get fired? Of course, anything's possible. It's also possible for you to get 2 write-ups and still not get fired. A lot of times you'll get a write-up and then maybe you get a final warning, and the employee will remain employed with that company. But that's up to you to decide if you want to take that risk. It's up to you to decide if you're being valued, because receiving a write-up, especially for something that you know isn't true, then that will kill your morale. And who wants to work for a company where your job's on the line and you have to walk on eggshells? There's so many places that we can work in this country. Work for a company that won't give you a bogus write-up, and work for a manager that will give you chances to correct the behavior. But that's the problem. There's a lot of managers out there that do not know how to manage people and reach management, because they might be good at the operation side of it, they might be good at the job that they do, but they're terrible at leading people. Some are two-faced, some are snakes in the grass. You don't know. Working in the United States isn't easy. There's a lot of politics, there's a lot of games. But it being issued a write-up is your clue. It is your wake-up call that the company that you're working for may not want you there. Now again, I already stated this. If you know you did something to violate company policy, and it's no doubt, then that's different. Accept the responsibility. But if you are innocent, and if you believe this is a power move, maybe it's time to look for another job. Because in this climate that we're in, it is not easy to find work. So you want to be able to safely navigate yourself from your current employer to your next employer, especially if you get the heads up of having that initial write-up. So to recap, if you get a write-up, do not get defensive. That isn't the time to fight it. Accept it. Say you won't do it again. Sign it. Get your copy. If you did it, great. Don't do it again. But if the write-up is bogus, then go ahead and file it with the EEOC. But know that you're putting a target on your back, and maybe it's time for you to look for another job while you get that protection time after filing. And if you need more additional help or have more questions about what to do, or if you've been written up and you want me to evaluate your write-up, make sure you visit my website at 95hr.net. Thank you, take care, and best of luck out there.